Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome all to my Big Brother 25 recap. That's a recap for the premiere and the HOH episodes from the last week. Welcome, everybody, to my show. And I'm here with Janelle. Janelle, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm
Good.
doing good. Excited. This season they haven't stopped. Like, they are non-stop in that house. I'm just like, please go to bed. Come on. You can talk about this in the morning. I have to go to work. So it's been interesting diving back into a new season. They already have me exhausted in
Yeah,
5 days.
it's been so crazy because I never watched the first week or two feeds live.
Yeah.
So for me this was different, but it feels like when I came in watching Big Brother 24 like 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
They
Hmm.
are on one.
Yes. It's a
They're
lot.
barely sleeping. They like wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Uh, and so I work, so I can't like usually like study the live feeds during the day,
Hmm.
but I'll usually put it on at night or depends. Like on the weekend, on this past weekend, I kept it on.
Yeah. It's mostly what I have on too. Around the time they get up, I start watching, watching Twitter, seeing what's up.
Yeah. So the live move in. I watched the premiere episode, but
Hey, Glenda.
hey, hey Glenda, thanks for joining us. So the first episode I was at the BB 25 premiere party in New York. So I was like partying, and then by the time I started heading home about
Hmm.
1 o'clock, the live feeds were on.
Yeah, they came on pretty quick. Like
Yeah.
3 hours after the premiere, we were up and running. So, what did you think of the premiere?
Um I thought the premiere wasn't bad, but because they included a lot of things they've already pushed to us, I thought it was like in some respects like kind of a waste.
Hmm. I mean,
Be-
I thought some of the antics were a little silly, but that's Big Brother. So
right.
I thought it was super interesting that we had everybody split off into those four groups. And then we learned that whoever lost was going to be up for elimination. I was like, oh my goodness. So we had four people up, which I was like, wow. I was shocked about that part.
Yeah, I will say I do like the theme.
The multiverse.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love the theme, but I'm also a big Marvel head, so
I've,
this is like right up my alley.
I've never seen one Marvel movie and really could not care less.
Oh my god, you just broke my
Yeah,
heart.
I'm so sorry.
And so I love the theme. I loved the little intro video that they did with Danielle,
Yeah.
Brittany, and Frankie. But like it was all over the place, and then it was like incorporated in the show. And then they had that intro, and maybe it's just me because I'm a content person, like I'm a content creator. I'm constantly sharing and putting stuff on social media. I saw two of the intro package. The only things that I didn't see was, of course, the move-ins for the actual guests and their packages, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was like you had 90 minutes, but like 30 of those minutes we already saw preseason.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
But I like how they did it. I like that they brought out all the house guests out and then disseminated them into the house.
Yeah.
Um, so overall, I thought it was good. I had to rewatch the episode because where I watched it, it went out, and then like watching it at a watch party, it's allowed. Like there was one point where we lost all our TV screens for some reason. We still don't know. So a bunch of us were like hopping on our phones trying to get on our like Paramount Plus apps.
Yeah.
So we missed a couple comps,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it was a lot. But overall, I thought it was a good introduction. Um, I barely watched edited shows last season, so I recently went back with my son and watched all the edited episodes of 24 and 23, and I was not. I was like, these were crap. So
Yeah.
I will say this was probably one of the better edited episodes that I've seen.
I thought it was just simply okay. I was after like listening to everybody's intros, which I enjoyed. I Some people I just got a different feel for in their intro packages, which I enjoyed. Like to me, it was a slightly different than the little snippets that I had seen with Sharon, but I enjoyed that. But what I was thinking about for the entire episode, waiting, was to see if the rumors were true and that Miss Fields was about to be in that house. Because that earlier that day, we had learned that there was going to be a 17th house guest. I was so excited about that. I was like, what? And then when people started mentioning that it could possibly be Sari, I was like, I thought it was funny that once her son was announced, not a peep from her on social media. It is so
Mm-hmm.
unlike her. For those that don't know, he does music on the side. So anytime he's doing anything, it's all over her social media. She shares it up, down, left, and right. So I was like, not one word from Miss Fields was leaning towards me believing that the rumor was true. And I was super excited. I am a Survivor fan ever before I gave Big Brother a chance. I've seen every single one of her seasons. It's definitely a fan favorite and one of the top players of the game. So when I found out, I was like, I get to experience the refills on feeds. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited. Absolutely love her. And she's giving me everything. Like, it's awesome to see her game in real time and not get snippets of it on Survivor. So I'm
Right.
loving her, loving having her on.
So my introduction, I have seen Suri play Survivor. I think Micronesia, maybe.
That was her
Uh,
second season.
yeah, I think it might have been her second season. I also watched her entire season of Traders. If
Yeah.
you have not watched Traders, she was amazing on
Mhm.
Traders, like absolutely amazing. And I was like, oh my god, if she comes on the show, I'm gonna die because all the stuff on Traders, like all the things that we were missing from Traders, is like what we want to see on the live feeds. Like, what was she thinking here? How did she do that? What was her game plan? Like, so to see it like starting to play out on the live feeds is like amazeballs.
Yeah,
She's
I
amazing.
absolutely love it.
And I said it, and I'm sure I'm going to get hate for it. But watching Taylor play last season and Sari Fields play this season on live feeds, the amazing social games that they played, regardless of that Taylor had a bunch of handicaps coming on. I mean, because like right off the bat, they had
Yeah.
a problem with her, um, and Suri having like one or two. Just seeing the way that they worked in the house. I mean, I think it's going to change the game forever, forever.
Yeah. Yep. I'm loving, loving, loving it. And Sari just has a way about her. There's no way that the people that we have two house guests that are aware of who Sari is. Some seem to loosely know, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Hmm.
I saw her. But definitely Corey knows the most about her games. And
Hmm.
Izzy is aware that Jared is Sari's son.
Yeah.
So, considering the fact that these two know Sari and her legacy and what she's good at, and they still want to work with her is just absolutely mind-boggling, and I'm excited about it. Like I probably would feel the same because look at her go. Like she has that other side clocked.
Hmm.
She has gathered her troops. So I'd
This
probably like them to just
this is the one thing. I don't think Corey wants to work with her.
you
I
don't
think
think?
no, I think he has no choice but to work with her. I think if he could have like made a big move and gotten her out this week, he definitely would have tried that.
I think that I think that what he's saying he believes. Sari is a great player. She's smart and she's loyal. And when
Right.
she's played her Survivor seasons, the crew she rocks with, she rocks with. There isn't any. She doesn't waver. She's loyal to, and he knows this. And also, something that's been a common theme in Sari's games is she gets far, she gets to the end, and either something to do with production or a comp loss screws her. So he thinks that she's going to be loyal and he can take her far to the end and then beat her. That's what I believe he thinks.
The only reason why I say this is because he did try on the live feeds to get Riley to backdoor her.
Yeah. Yes.
He tried
I,
really, really hard.
yeah.
Not even just to get himself off the block, get Jared off the block. You know what I mean? He was trying his damnedest to get Sari Fields up and out this week.
Yeah. Well, we're glad he
And
failed, but
he failed on that. He did work to get himself off the block, but we will talk about that. So let's discuss this premiere episode real quick. Um, so, like I said, they had a couple of different segments. At first, it was like a mini review of Big Brother in like the comps, like kind of what we saw on the special, just
yeah.
like the comps, the showmances, the winners, like just like a mini compilation of that. I thought it was really cool, especially if this is your first season. And we do know there are a lot of people who are just like entering Big Brother this season because it's a milestone season. B, a lot of people heard about like Taylor, started watching the live feeds, didn't necessarily watch the edited episodes, me, and starting to watch the season this year. Um, so I thought that was a good introduction little segment. Um, and I will say, watching it live with the cast of 24 and like people who have played Big Brother in New York, it was like people were screaming, everybody was going wild, especially at the end when you see like Taylor come out and raise her hands. It was a beautiful moment. So I have a different perspective on that, but I do think it was great. I just feel like they should not have sent out that segment to social media early.
They try and suck people in, but I agree with you.
Yeah. So we do hear Julie say 16 house guests are going to move in, but that doesn't mean there won't be more.
Yeah.
Um, and so we do get an introduction to the first eight, which are Red, Jared, Blue, Mimi, I'm sorry, Nicole, who going forward, we're going to call her Mimi because that's her nickname. Matt, Izzy, Jag, and Riley. And did anything stick out other than the Jared segment? Because it's so funny. Like the Jared segment was very this this guy is the son of Sari Fields. He is legacy. He is coming to play Big Brother. Sari makes like a mini computerized pop in on his segment, and that was like kind of it. And then It's like, oh, okay, maybe she won't be on there.
No, nothing really stuck out. Nothing for me. Like these first couple of episodes or first couple of days on feeds, you're just trying to get a feel for who these people are. You know what I mean? Like you're
Hmm.
just trying to learn about them, observe them, and pick your squad and pick who you want to rock with, who you like. So no, nothing really stuck out to me much at all this episode. But
Yeah. Then the next eight we get is Luke, Felicia, Hassam, Corey, Bowie, America, Cameron, and Kirsten.
yeah,
And I, what stuck out to me with this last eight, Corey does not have nearly anything saying that he is tied to Survivor in any way
this is
in his
true.
intro.
Yeah. They should have been. I'm surprised they didn't include that, especially with Sari being on this season. But his, for those that don't know, well, he's shared it, right? He did. For those that don't know, his brother Zach played in Survivor 42, but he was the first out on his tribe. Well, his brother is like a Twitter. He's hilarious on Twitter, super, super personable, super, super funny. So he's made a name for himself, even though he was the first boot on his tribe. But yeah, I thought that they would have like incorporated that a little, but it's probably a little less important because nobody's gonna know Corey's brother like they would know Suri, you know?
Right. I
Yeah.
don't think they. I still don't remember them mentioning on the HOH episode either, but I know on live feeds he did tell Riley.
Yeah.
So, um, and then they showed the video of Danielle, Brittany. So Danielle from BB3, Brittany was from what, BB11,
Sounds right. Yeah. I saw her with the brigade. I don't know what number that is.
and Frankie. I cannot tell you what season that was.
He was
BB.
on Cody and Derek's season.
Okay, well, I don't know what
Yeah.
number it is.
I think
Um,
16.
and they and this was the like big promotional video that they sent out preseason, like the weekend before, showing us the house, showing us that they had broken in with a laser and scrambled the house, changed all the fixtures and everything in the house. And Julie says it changed the game. And basically, it's just the vernacular for the theme for the season.
Yep.
Um, so we do get move-ins. They're going to go in groups of four, and because of this scramble that was done, um, there are now four different multiverses of Big Brother this season. It
Yeah.
is the BB comic verse,
Hmm.
the Humiliverse, the Scary verse, and the Scramble verse. And this also outlines the comps for the night, um, which that was cool. I really think it was like a really cool theme they did because they actually made it make sense. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like random, random festivals that don't actually jive to anything. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
I like that they did this.
Yeah.
Um, so the usually the first episode we do get an HOH comp, which determines the first HOH. But here, because of the scramble verse, they are not doing an HOH comp on
Hmm.
premiere night. They are doing a nomination comp. So they are battling to not be nominated for the night.
Yeah.
And thus, because there are four groups of four, there will be four nominees going up on the block at the end of the night. What did you
Yeah.
think of that? A nomination comp.
I think that I would be a little less apprehensive winning HOH after that because you get stuck with the nominees and all you can do is save two of them, which is kind of a little bit of a bonus. Yes,
Hmm.
you can't save the other two, but I feel like they can't be that angry, or that you would assume that they would be less angry because you didn't put them there. So I thought it was interesting, and I'm wondering if this is just the first comp or if this is a theme that we're going to see for the near future. I know definitely not all season, but I'm wondering, like, they're making plans about who they want to nominate and who they want to go for. But is it going to be, for the next little bit, the four people that lose are going to be on that block? So I don't know. They're
Mm.
making all these plans, but Big Brother is expect the unexpected. So I thought it was interesting. I'm interested to see if it continues or we just did that for the opening comp. So it's interesting. Don't love it, but it's interesting.
I liked it and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked it because I thought it was like cool with the theme,
Yeah.
but I didn't necessarily like that four people were getting nominated.
Yeah.
Um, kind of wish it was more of a like fight for your life down to two,
Yeah.
but it does give the HOH a little more of an advantage because you didn't put them up there. You
Yeah.
didn't target anybody right away. You are saving two people,
Yep.
and then the other two people have a chance at veto to fight for their own life.
Yep.
And if it gets stuck up there, it gets stuck up there. So I do feel like it kind of was a benefit to an HOH. The HOH that does happen doesn't seem to think it's a benefit, but we will move. Um, so the let's see, the first game. I don't think I wrote down the name of the first game.
It's okay.
But it was like it had to be a scramble verse game because it was a puzzle. And they had scrambled headlines, basically changed everything in the Navy universe. We had BBOT got renewed. Who Jordan and Rachel Riley got married. Taylor self evicted because they ran out of chips. Taylor got a kick out of that one. She thought
Yeah, she liked that one.
that. I forget all of them, but it so each person, there was four, had a puzzle they had to undo and then repackage the puzzle in a box on the other side. And we see them just like running back and forth. We see Mimi running in heels.
She killed
So
it.
yeah, she did. So who was in that? That was Mimi, Jared, Bowie, and shoot, who was the last person?
I don't know. I do not remember.
I don't remember. And she's just running back and forth, and she made sure to buzz that bell in, and unfortunately, Jared was the person that didn't come in time.
I was like, Jared, you had one. Come on, Jared. I was so mad at him because
Yeah,
I'm still thinking in my mind we're gonna see Sari pop up. So I'm like, Jared, really on the first call? Okay.
and then the next comp was a Humiliverse comp, which is kicking butt,
Yeah.
and it was a comp where you had to kick yourself in the butt, and you had to do it 100 times, and you whoever did not do it enough times would be the person who lost. And so I think in this comp was Blue, um, Kirsten, and I forget the other two, Jag, and then one other person.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
There's too many.
Just this comp was just a preview of what we're going to get for the rest of the season.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, um, and so we do see that Kirsten is the last person to do it. It didn't look like something was wrong with her machine to you.
No.
Okay,
If
when I
it's
was
you.
watching it, it looked like it kept getting stuck somehow.
Oh, maybe I missed it. I could have not been focusing in on her, but I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it looked like it was getting stuck somehow, and I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out if it was the mechanism
Or
or what.
her. Yeah.
And then the next one was from the comic verse, which was Gookopolis, which was, it's kind of the opposite of what we usually see on a comp, where you go in and you want to be the person who is not slimed in order to win the comp. But in this one, you had to hook up a bunch of different machines,
Yeah.
and wires, and you wanted to pull a lever. And if you got slimed, you were good. That means it worked.
Yes.
And so we do see that the Felicia was the person who was not fast enough for this one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Miss Felicia. I like her.
Um, and then the last one was the scary verse, and the comp was a hold on fright, which was like a mini endurance comp, kind of,
Yes.
where you had to like hold on to like one of those little thingies, and you could not let go.
Mhm.
You were literally on the floor holding on,
Yeah.
and if you let go, you got pulled into the BB nether region.
Yes. And poor,
And,
poor Corey got
and
pulled in the
Corey was
nether
the one
region.
that got pulled into the nether region because he let go
Yeah.
too soon. So that was like the comps, and I was like, okay, okay, I'm not happy with the nominations. This kind of sucks. Three
Yeah. So we
black people
had
on the block. What are we doing?
Kirsten, Jared, Miss Felicia. I keep wanting to say Felicia. Miss Felicia and Mr. Corey all
Yeah,
ended up at the bottom four for the first and up for elimination for the first one.
yeah. So they do go to the back door, and Julie's like, "That's it. You could go into the house." And
There she is.
they go into the house, and it's Cerie Fields. And can I tell you where I was? So first, when we started watching the episode, we were downstairs in the bar, and then most of us had moved upstairs to the rooftop lounge. Um, and so it was like a bar, and then some seats, and then like all the TVs. And so we were like, some of us were sitting up high, and some of us were like just standing. And when Cerie popped up on the screen, exactly, Glenda. When Cerie popped up on the screen, we all screamed.
We all
We
screamed.
screamed our heads off.
And I had a good feeling she was coming, but like the confirmation that it was actually her, and I am really actually about to get to like the most exciting part to me is just getting to watch her work and
Yes,
seeing how she does what she does. That's
yes.
all I cared about. I'm like, I'm gonna have Cerie Fields on feeds. Glenda, are you a Survivor fan? Do you know her from Survivor, from Traders? How do you know her? Yeah.
It was amazing. And I will say, while I was there, I also was like in by the bar, and it was like America's like friends were like behind us. She had mentioned on feeds that she did have tickets for Oz's House Chops party, so her friends were there. Um, it just was such a great atmosphere. But just when you see Cerie Fields pop up and pouring blue champagne into glasses, and oh my God, she's going to play the game. Not only is this legend about to play the game, she is about to play the game with her son. And just, oh, I Glenda watched Survivor and definitely watched Traders. Awesome. And now I know they're not the first parent and child to compete on Big Brother together.
No. Dick and Danielle were something.
Yeah.
But it was known in their season. She immediately said right away that it was her dad.
Hmm.
And while Jared and Suri are super, super close, and that's evident on any Survivor season, Suri's probably brought up her son Jared and her other kids. But
Right.
Dick and Danielle had a relationship where, at the point that they were both in the house, they had been estranged for like 2 years. She hadn't spoken to him. So that dynamic, the difference is at, like night and day.
Stark. Stark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
night and day. And it was, while Dick has very, in my opinion, I apologize, but he doesn't have very many redeeming qualities, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But even though his relationship with his daughter was tumultuous, you just knew that he loved her. So it was a very, very fascinating dynamic to watch happen in the Big Brother house. And as much tension that was between those two is
Hmm.
as much love is between Sari and Jared. He is going to be her only
I,
potential, oh, I don't want to say like blind spot, but she's going to take what he says for gospel, whether he communicates it great or not, whether it adds his interpretation or not, or his spin or
hmm.
not. That could potentially be her only gray area when you're playing with a loved one. Obviously, she's very emotionally involved with this game because of him. So I'm interested to see how that helps and hurts her game.
Yeah. Um, I okay. So I don't know if we should go to the next episode because the next episode had me kind of tearing up.
Okay.
Um, so in the next episode, we do see like Suri is in the kitchen, and Miss Felicia comes and asks her, "You're Suri, right?" And she's like, "Yes." And she's like, "Are you playing with us?" And she's like, "Yes, I'm the 17th house guest." And we do get DRs from her, which
Yeah.
are just,
Yeah, she's going to be good.
she's so amazing. And then we do see Izzy pull Jared to the side, and she's like, "I knew it. You're Cerie's son, aren't you? That's Cerie Fields, and you're her son." And he's like, "Oh, yes." And he's like, she swears she's gonna keep the secret.
Yeah, because you can see the nervousness. I'm so sad that somebody knows.
Yeah.
Like immense, but I would have known if I would have gotten into that house and I would have seen her and I've seen him. I
Hmm.
thought the same way Izzy knows is how I would have known.
Hmm.
So I'm sad that somebody knows, but I'm
Hmm.
really hoping Izzy keeps her mouth closed and they're kind of like stuck with her because of this. They
Yeah.
have to be they ha- they have to appear as if they are working with her and all and they are really currently, but like it just makes me nervous that if Izzy is ever in trouble, this is her first
Go
scapegoat.
to.
Yes. And I can't even blame her because you should come first.
Hmm.
Yeah, she would. If you follow Suri on social media, she's proud of her son. She shares him all the time. So,
Hmm.
and he was on Game Changers. Like, you really got to be on it to notice that. But he came for the family visit on 34, which was Game Changers. So,
Yeah. Which Corey has seen, his brother said, but he doesn't think he remember him. And I think our last podcast we did like show a picture. Jared looked totally different than he was younger.
yeah.
Um, I will say in her DRs, it does kind of give a little leeway to what we saw on feeds, but more explained. So we watched her on feeds and the things that she was doing, and it was like, why is she taking Jared's like things for gospel, and why is she doing this, and why is she listening to Kirsten? Because to be fair, Kirsten was clocking things left and right. Was
Yeah.
she opening her mouth a lot? Yes. Was she being messy? sometimes. Was she clocking things left and right? Absolutely.
Yeah. He needs to know who to read that clock to. That's the problem,
Exactly.
you know?
That was the problem.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Jared was doing a lot of the same things. He
Yeah.
was moving through, being a little messy. The difference is his reads were terrible, absolutely terrible. And I was like, darn near flipping out because I'm like, do not listen to this boy. But as you said, he is going to be her blind spot. And that's what I meant when I said she is coming in with a couple of handicaps. She's coming in that she is the Cerie fails,
Yeah.
and she's coming in that Jared is her son
Yep.
and all that comes with. And so it was kind of like, why is she listening? Why is she doing this? Why is she moving? And then we get her DRs in this episode. And she, just like we were like, ugh, Jared, why are you on the block? She was like, oh no, he's on the block. What do I do?
Yeah.
And it was just her priority was not only to keep her safe, but to keep Jared safe and get Jared off the block.
Yeah.
So, and as a mother, we're both mothers. As a
Mhm.
mother, we know that feeling. You will do anything to protect your child,
Yeah.
period.
I
So,
can't imagine also like we know we've said she's done this multiple times. She's never played with a family member.
right,
There's seasons of Survivor where we've had that and we've seen that dynamic. But she's never participated in one. So I think that the added dynamic of the pressure of this game, being on the block, knowing what she's going to have to do to try to save him, and that she also has to carefully, like, I can't, I'm sure it was very, very overwhelming because you can't come in guns blazing to save Jared. You know, it's going to look fishy. So, of course she handled it beautifully, but yeah, I felt for her in that moment, like, girl, this is week one. We're already like worked up, your baby's on the block, and
right,
how are you gonna save him? So yeah, it was nice. Or I was like, oh, when I saw her cry, I was just like,
yeah. And
oh.
that got me because I will say my son, my youngest son, he's a huge, huge Survivor fan.
Yeah.
And like I said in the top of this broadcast, he and I went back and watched. I made him watch 24. We watched 23 of Big Brother, um, and then we also watched The Amazing Race
Mhm.
together. Derek and Claire season, the
Mhm.
recent season, and he was like, "Oh, we should go on the Amazing Race together." And he's always like, he wants to go on Survivor, and he's like, because he thinks he's going to be an NBA player. So he's like, after I retire from the NBA, I want to go on Survivor, and I was watching this and just watching her talk about Jared and watching her cry and watching how much it means to her to play with him, but also watching her being like, oh my God, like, what do I do to get him off the block?
Yeah.
And it called to me because just remembering my son being so excited to want to play with me in a game like this, and I was like, we can't. I love The Amazing Race, but the way my knees are set up, that's not gonna happen, guy. um and so I was like, but I could definitely see us do something like this. And um yeah, it really, what, like, as much as I have a problem with Jared in some respects for a lot of stuff that he was doing on feeds and how it impacted Kirsten ultimately, um I got him. I understood them. I really did. I really, really got
Yeah,
it.
I'm interested to see the dynamic that this is, like, that this how this dynamic plays out all season long. I'm super super interested in that.
Yeah. And so at this point, Izzy knows their secret.
Mhm.
there's nothing they can do about it because the girl knew. She just knew.
Yeah.
Um, Corey also, it seems to be very aware of who Suri is. We do see him in ITMing in DRs that he wants to be the one to take down Suri Fields because she's legacy. And like it's like he feels like he needs to take down the big fish.
Yeah.
Um,
I get it, but I hope he fails.
Same. Uh, so we do. I think they did do a final nomination ceremony, but first they had to do an HOH comp, and we have seen this comp twice before. If you watch the last two seasons, it was on season 23 and it was on season 24.
Yeah.
And the comp is cool. I like what they did, the little twist they did this time. It was very comic. So it went along with the BB comic. Oh, I forgot to mention. So remember, Corey was pulled into the nether region.
Yeah.
Corey does get stuck there for an hour after everything, and does not show up in the house for the first hour of
Yep.
everybody meeting each other. So
Yeah.
it is a big disadvantage to him because I think it did kind of put a target on his back and for some people because they were like not they didn't know him, and everybody had gotten really cool together at that point. So it was kind of like it made him expendable. And for some reason, this season they had started gaming off the back, which we see. They're talking about doing the gym and end up making a five person alliance called the Phalanx Five.
Yeah. I think that was Kirsten. That's
Well, from what
but
I'm hearing, it was Luke.
I thought when I watched it, I definitely thought it was her. But I think Corey's also they also have eyes on him because he was gone for that hour. They're worried that he might have something. They might that he might have a secret power or something like that. So there's also that suspicion. I don't
Right,
think they're believing his story, which is reasonable. I would wonder too if you disappeared for an hour. What were you doing? What'd
yeah.
you get?
And
What'd
how
you
did
have
you
in your
get in
pocket?
there? Because apparently he just appeared in the scary room,
Yeah. Yep.
which,
It
like,
just
how?
sounds odd. Yeah,
Yeah.
and unfortunately for him, that's gonna make people. I know if I were there and I didn't know where you were for an hour, I would wonder about what you could potentially have. So I get it in that respect too.
So, so he just he was just at a disadvantage. Poor thing. He's also the youngest in the house. We the dynamic this season is it's like almost 50-50 older people, 50-50 25-24 year olds,
Yeah. Yep.
which
I
is
like it.
shocking.
Yeah, I like it. And I
Yeah,
feel like they did it because Sari was coming, honestly.
right, right.
Like that's what I feel. They didn't want her to be the oldest one.
Yeah,
That's what I
and I do like that because I feel like it's created this dynamic in the house that people are either underestimating each other or they are like, oh, we got to target them because they got to go.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was exciting. So we do see that being formed. Um, and what else was happening? Just the first night of conversations, they did show a lot of it. Where like Cerie is talking to Jared. I don't know if they mentioned the core four with Felicia, Mimi, Kirsten, and Cerie. I can't
And
remember if they mentioned it in the show.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. So they have basically come down to an alliance on one side and an alliance on the other. It seemed like Kirsten was in the middle of all of it. And so when Sari was talking to Jared, trying to catch up, it was like, oh, I really like Kirsten. He's like, no, he doesn't trust her because they had a conversation in the bathroom, and Kirsten was like, oh, what did you think about the alliance? But I also don't like Luke,
Mm-hmm.
who it seemed like kind of started the alliance or at least named it. And so it's like you're already throwing somebody under the bus. Fine, I get it, but Jared was kind of doing the same thing. It just wasn't doing it to certain people. So I don't
Yeah.
know. So yeah, we do get to the HOH comp at this point, and I think they finally did the HOH comp the next day, right? The
Yeah.
after the Thursday. And it is that little platform you have to walk across and get the best time. But this time they have put like little, like if you ever seen Batman, or like where they have like the wow and pat and like pow, and it's like little things moving that can knock you out the way. Um, that is what they have basically going here. So we do get ITMs of 90% of these people did not want to be HOH.
Yeah. This was an easy one, but yeah, I don't blame them. I'm not trying to, nobody wants to do anything to make anybody look at them, but I get it. Yep.
And the four nominees were not eligible to play.
Right. Makes sense. So
So it,
go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, so it basically came down to only a few people because most of them did not want the HOH and was throwing it as hard as they could.
Right. And regardless, Riley had an impressive time. Like 22 seconds was fast. She
Yeah,
flew across that balance beam. So
yeah,
congratulations, Riley. We'll see what she's gonna do.
yeah. Um, so Riley is the first HOH, and she, even before she gets her room, she gets cornered by Miss Felicia, and she's talking about she wants to come down, and she's like, kind of like, yeah, I think we can work on maybe you coming down, and then she takes what information she does have about Kirsten and kind of just like drives the bus over.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at her because she's also on the block. And I think it's a little bit of self preservation. Had she not been on the block, I would like to think that she'd have kept her mouth shut. We'll never know the answer to that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame her per se. She wants to stay and she's trying to do whatever she thinks she can do
Mm-hmm.
to stay. And I don't feel like she lied, So self preservation. I don't blame anybody for doing what they feel is best for their game in that regard, because she didn't personally slander her. She was just talking about like everything she had been up to in the house, or at least her perception of it, right?
Right,
So
because that's what I was gonna say. It wasn't necessarily what she'd been up to; it's what she heard she had been up to. Because some of the things that she heard that she'd been up to is she started in All Guys Alliance and was using her feminine wiles to do that, and that's not what was happening because the Phalanx Five literally had Riley in it,
yeah.
and so um, she does portray it as she's basically stirring the pot and making a bunch of alliances. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I mean, if she's gonna lie, she's gonna lie. But that, I agree, it wasn't necessarily a lie. It was just her perception of what it was. It just wasn't true, all true.
Right. I'm just pointing out that I don't think she was malicious in it. She didn't have any problem with Kirsten. She wanted to work with Kirsten until she found out that, in her view, that by the time she made an alliance with Miss Felicia, Kirsten already had something else brewing that she didn't share about. So it's all pointing back to, I can't trust this person. And I think had all of those things not happened, it would be a different story. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, that's not what happened.
Right. So we do get Riley had been hearing from other people, mostly Jared, that Kirsten was doing stuff. Um, they didn't show it in this episode, right? Did they show it when he sat down with Riley and he was like,
No,
Kirsten tried
he
to start a 5-person
no.
alliance?
All they showed was, and we didn't bring up the alliances that have already established before all this, but they just showed when she said she already had someone in mind. He's like, oh, it starts with the K. Like that's all they showed in the
Yeah,
episode. It's hard to remember like which is which, but I remember that part. They only showed him, and they showed Suri too talk about Kristen's activities around the house. So
yeah, and I just thought it was funny because he goes, he's like, oh, Kirsten tried to start a 5-person alliance, and she's like,
I know I was there.
no, who was there?
I'm like, come on, Jared. That's why I would never play Big Brother because I'd forget that too. Like I have a horrible short-term memory. I'd be like, wait, who was there? Or that'd be me. So I can't even poke fun at that man because I'd be the same.
And I do think we get a little bit of Corey do going into the room with the Riley and trying to get. I don't know how much of him trying to get Suri up on the block, backdoored,
I
but
think there was a lot on the episode about that specifically. I feel like
Mhm.
we didn't touch a lot on that in the episode, but we know it happened because we
Yeah,
saw feeds.
yeah. If you watch the feeds, he tried to get Suri backdoored. Riley wasn't stand for it. She wants to work with Suri, but he does use his powers of speech to
Get
get
himself on top.
himself taken down. So unfortunately for Miss Felicia, and at this point, Kirsten was a given.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were allowed to take down 2 people. And after, I don't think they showed the conversation with Suri either. After speaking with Suri, oh no, they showed a little bit of it because Suri was like, "Oh, Jared's coming," because that was all her priority was, as long as Jared is coming down. Um,
She was going to do whatever she needed
she
to
said,
do, including
say whatever
share.
she needed to say. That was her point, to do and say whatever needed to be done or said to get Jared off the block. So she does basically kind of coalesce to, like, basically when she had the conversation with Riley, it was like, Jared's coming off the block, definitely,
Yeah.
and you're safe too because I want to work with you. And in her head was like, that's all she needs to hear.
Yep.
So
That's
she's like,
all she needed.
okay, she would have loved to get Miss Felicia off the block. Um, but at that point, she's collateral damage. She's collateral damage. So um, we do get the denomination ceremony, and um, Kirsten and
Miss
Miss
Felicia.
Felicia are kept on the block. Corey and Jared are removed from the block. Um, Kirsten's a bit blindsided because in her head she had had a conversation after Miss Felicia's conversation, solidifying both their Phalanx 5 and working together as girls. Unfortunate for her, Riley doesn't give a fuck about girls. She does not
No.
want to work with the girls. She could give 2 damns.
She's not
So
worried about an all girl alliance and making sure women get to the end. That's not on her wavelength. She wants to play with who she wants to play with.
yeah, and she also just was like, well, you out, kind of like, already everybody knows about that alliance, it's nothing, and we really didn't solidify anything. So in her head, Kirsten is nobody that she needs to be working with because based on what everybody else is saying, she's messy.
Yeah, and that
um
was literally it was not even necessarily her firsthand experience. She just heard it. And then later, once she heard about the showmans with Matt all coming from Kirsten, she was not
yeah,
happy. But yeah, Yep.
She did do that part. I will say Kirsten did do that part where she said that she thought like Matt really liked Riley,
A
which he did.
lot. She did that a lot. Like
She
I feel
did.
like she watching Kirsten, she did a lot. And unfortunately, a lot to a lot of she just talking a lot to a lot of people. I just wish she had gotten Cerie's advice earlier in the season because watching Cerie later after Kirsten was emotional, she got to talk to some people, and Cerie was one of those people. And she expressed to her straight up why she felt like she was on the block. And I felt like what Cerie said was accurate, you know?
Well, I had been saying all week, the only difference between Kirsten and Jared, because I felt like Jared was doing a lot too, and I think it was just a casualty of being on the block. The difference between them was that Jared's mother was in the house, like literally from the first door. We saw it in the episode. She was like, "I heard you say to Kirsten, y'all will talk later." She's like, "Clean that up. I don't need, we don't, nobody needs to be hearing you say you want to talk to somebody later. Like
Yeah.
this, that's unnecessary." And so, not having that guidance for someone who is like a pure recruit, I don't think this girl has watched an episode.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
unfortunate.
is unfortunate. That and being nasty. I will say, watching her and sometimes was funny. Watching her sometimes was cringy. But that story about her with Matt and Riley, and I do think there's some. The thing is with me is Kirsten was clocking shit left and right because I do think there was some truth to it. But there's some things you have to edit.
Yeah,
Edit.
that's the problem. This she was telling on people, but she was telling on people to the people working with the people.
Yes.
That's the problem. Like
So
the
very
whole
funny.
problem is who she was talking to, going in rooms and announcing things, not knowing who's. So Reese said it best, like not knowing who she was announcing things to and who's working with who. Jared's messiness, in my opinion, uh, it wasn't as egregious or he didn't expose anything like that I can remember. He didn't expose anything. He wasn't clocking anything, so nobody was worried about what he was saying. And it in Kirsten's, to me, kicked off everything. Jared's was coming and coming and coming, and it picked up. That is all true, but he wasn't clocking nothing like she was. She had those
Because he had bad reads. My whole thing is, if he had good reads, would have made a difference.
maybe, yeah, you can say whatever you want if it ain't gonna affect nobody's game. But if you're
Right,
talking about who's actually working
right.
together, and yeah, it just got her in the hot water because the
So,
advice that Sari gave her was so good, and I just wish she didn't know to give her advice. But had she known, she should have. She would have, and I feel confident in that because she was so ready to work with her. She met her, they hugged, they talked, they chatted. Kirsten told her about how she would love to look out for her. She doesn't want to see the older ladies go out first. Loved all of it, and I feel like Kirsten was 1,000% genuine. Unfortunately, she was uh stuff was already just unfortunate. All of it's unfortunate because I feel like they like her as a person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I saw her. Did you see her strutting in the backyard? Jared was back there. Like, he appeared so quick, clapping for her. So I
yeah.
feel like she is liked socially around the
I
house.
I do feel like she's like socially, and I do feel like there were pieces of the first couple days where because she was like socially, people were saying nasty stuff about her, microaggressions, to try to downgrade her a little bit because she was so light, just to be like, well, she has to stay up in the block because she's this and she's a bitch and she's that, and that stuff I do not like. Like
Yeah,
I think it's an unnecessary.
I'm
um
I'm a big proponent. Like, keep it to the game. You will not
right,
get yourself in trouble if you
right,
focus on what is happening game wise.
right,
Express your frustration game wise and stop there. She put on blast that I'm working with all these people that I'm actually working with. She
right.
put me in a showmance that does not exist. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah,
if you to all the people that are gonna ever play this game, keep it to game and you will not get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, because we have people talking about serial killers. Oh, I'm sorry, serial killers and all of those things. And Glenda, I agree. It's so many alliances going on. There's 6 of them,
Yeah.
and
So
we need to talk about that.
so yeah, so at the end of the day, that is how Kirsten got to where she got to. She got there from misconceptions, being messy, a little bit of untruths, and yeah. So I feel like it was all her fault? Absolutely not. Do I think that she should be strung up for what she did? Absolutely not. But a game is a game, and it is what it is. And so, she would have to go play for the veto at this point. So I know you had the current spread. What is it? Pictorial of all the alliances. I can't reach it now because I'm on my different computer now.
Oh, hold on. Let me get it.
So I think that was like the first few days of live feeds, right? Because Saturday was veto, yesterday was yesterday, and then today was the veto ceremony. I'm trying to
Yep.
think if there's anything that we missed from feeds before Saturday. Listen, Kirsten was talking stuff left and right. She's like, Jared loves Blue. Uh, Matt loves Riley. Jack and Riley love each other. I
Yeah.
started laughing like she's right though. She's not wrong. She was so right. The guys have an alliance together. They did.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so funny. It was just like, oh girl, just stop telling everybody. Oh my god. But she was saying that she's used to journaling her thoughts, and so I think that was just a little bit of that, like diary of the mouth. Like she's used to putting her thoughts to paper, and instead she was just like oversharing.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Like, she just came and she talked too much. Like, that's
Mhm.
literally how I feel.
Oh, and then let us get to Izzy. going to, going down the point here. Izzy needs to go out the house. So after after Riley live feeds, she does choose Sari to be the host for the veto
Yeah.
comp.
Mm-hmm.
And her wording, according to Izzy, and the way she was moving, she was like insistent that they were going to try to backdoor Sari.
Siri. Yeah.
And had Sari spiraling about it. It was not it was crazy. Um and just we see that they're not sleeping, right?
At
So
all.
there's a lot of East Coasters there. Jared's a East Coaster, Cerie's an East Coaster, Izzy, Blue, America. Who else am I forgetting? Cameron's Tennessee East Coast, Red's Tennessee East Coast. I'm trying to think who else. So there's a few East Coasters, and I think that it's making them have a difficult time getting to bed and then waking up at a normal time. So their body is still adjusting, but it's causing them to gain close to 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's a lot. They need to go to sleep. I'm like, this is why I like BB. The one thing I like better about BB Can is they make them go to bed. So don't just, and they're on the same time as me, but they need to go to sleep. They
Yeah.
need to go to sleep.
So they are gaming so hard. Some of them are like barely getting sleep, Izzy,
Mhm.
and it is causing them to overanalyze, overthink, game, 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 game. And so we have like 50 alliances already. But the crazy part about all the alliances is, and I'm sitting here watching it, all these people keep outing their alliances to people. Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew, Tamika. I've never seen so many people share what their alliances are, like in a season ever, ever. Like they've,
I've never, like, you, I cannot imagine being so open about the amount of alliances you're in. It's just, it, it's weird. It's weird. And so it's a lot of spiraling, and then you have like just what's her name? Riley's going from HOH itis to freaking out. Like it's just a lot of freaking out over and over. And so that's the funny thing is, Kirsten was freaking out day one, day two. She's after she talked to Sari, she's freaking out just a little less. But then everybody else has started like ramping up. Like it's like been like a trajectory of everybody else going up a roller coaster and just like spiraling out on the roller coaster.
yeah. Yeah, and they've all been guilty of different spiraling at different points in time, and it's a lot. So
It is.
some of them are already like, getting emotional, crying. Sari herself, who has played 4, 5, 6, 4 Survivor, Traders, and Snake in the Grass, was talking about how this was a lot. She was like, she's like, this is a lot. I just want to go lay in my bed. But then I don't want to isolate myself. But this is a lot. So for her to even acknowledge it's a lot as a vet of these social strategy games says a lot about the pressure that these people could feel, or how stressed, how nervous, how worried, how paranoid that they could possibly feel. So her saying it, I have the pictures, I just don't know how to show it to you.
So BP
Oh my goodness.
there's a lot of people on BB Twitter like, is Sari admitting that Big Brother is harder? Does that mean it's harder than Survivor?
Well, I think we need to get a complete game from her to have that perspective.
Yeah.
But, I don't think this is right. I don't know how to get this to you. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Can I inbox you?
Uh,
Them?
yes. If you
Okay.
sent it to my entertainment and color email.
I don't know what that is. Hold on.
Yeah, drop it in the chat. So yeah, so that's where we are. Izzy has been on a like back and forth, and her reads are terrible in most respects, and then she wants to pull people in, and then she wants to like do it out in front of them so that these people know that they're being pulled in, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, can we like not do this, people? Can we not do this? Is there any way y'all can just hold water on your alliances so they're not out and out to everybody and their mother?
Yeah, everybody knows exactly what's going on all these seasons. It's like what? I mean, on all these alliances. For the most part, the main groups, they know. Maybe not all these little side alliances we have, but in the main groups, they know for sure.
I just dropped it.
Same, Glenda. I am on the East Coast. So I'm like, please go to bed. It'll be midnight my time. Um,
There, I dropped it in the private chat.
okay.
Yeah, we're both East Coasters as well. And like I said, I put the feeds on at night, usually before bed. And then usually when I wake up, they're still chit chatting or like trying to get to sleep. But that's how it was for Big Brother 24. So I was a little bit used to it. And then I
Yep.
would like go back and rewind the feeds and see what I missed. But here it's like if you miss an hour, you miss so much.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why you just have to do the best you can, keep up, read on Twitter, watch other updates. That's what I do. So it's coming.
So yeah, so anything else from feeds? We could do a little bit of spoilers after we get up the alliances, but just trying to see, show you the alliances that are here at this point, because most of these were made going into the veto comp.
Right, 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 right. Oh my goodness.
Mm, 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 mm. And I'm trying to think if there's any other things we missed from the feeds. Riley and Jag are basically like an out pair. Sari and Felicia are basically an out pair. I'm trying to think if anybody else is definitely like a pair. I think it's just those two. Oh no, Cameron and Red.
Yeah. All right. Should be on its way to you.
Okay. And it is so prominently known that it has made it very easy to basically, oh, like realize who they're.
I mean, a lot of the information that Cerie's side has is due to Jared. They believe that Jared is with them, and he's not. He is, but he's not, and he's feeding everything back to Cerie. So they have their whole alliance clocked before the other side to figure out what's even happening, which I like.
Let's see, percent. All right, so here are the. So it's two sides of the house. So first side, on the first side is crowd control, which is Blue, Jag, and Riley.
Mm-hmm. The
And
hand.
I think you got this from someone on BB Twitter, right?
Yeah, I don't remember who. So thank you out in BB Twitter for this amazing graphic. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. And let's see if I make it a little bigger. Oh, ooh, is that too big?
No.
Oh. And then the handful is Matt, Cameron, Blue, Jag, and Riley. And then family style. Oh, I don't know if it'll let me go all the way down. Is they pulled in America, Jared, and Corey. So
Yep.
we can see here is that Jared, Corey, and America are really on the fringe of this alliance on one side.
Yeah.
The core group is Blue, Jag, and Riley. With
Adding in Luke and Cameron, and
right,
then adding in America, Jared, and Corey. And it's really what they call like an onion alliance. A,
yeah,
a two, a three, a five, and an eight. They
right,
tried to perfectly assemble and set it up,
right,
but Jared really ain't with them.
yeah,
So
and rightfully so, because if you look at this, the core of this group is Riley, Jag, and Blue, and we have seen on the feeds and everywhere, even in this episode, this HOH episode, Jag basically pretty much throws the comp because he saw that Riley was the person in the lead, and
yep,
she is his pair,
yeah,
basically. Um, So I don't blame Jared for throwing this one under the bus. I mean, it's pretty much deserved.
Yeah.
So next up is the next side of the house, which is starts at the top with the brown sugar babes,
Yep.
which is Jared, Suri, Felicia, and Mimi.
Yep.
And then uh, Mimi, Felicia, and Suri have a separate alliance, which includes Izzy and Bowie. Uh,
Yep.
Basically, Jared's on the fringe of this, but we all know that Jared is basically a core of this. He's
Yeah. Of
going
everything.
to the other side, bringing this side information.
Yeah.
The only person who does not know that is Bowie in the
Yep.
Bye Bye Bitches, which I love that name. I think it's cute as hell.
Bowie or
No,
the
Bye Bye
lion's
Bitches.
name.
Yeah,
You can
Bye Bye
credit
Bitches.
Miss Felicia for that. She came up
Yeah,
with that one.
yeah, and then we can, yeah, can't really see it. And so then they were able to pull in um Hisam,
Mm-hmm.
Red
Mm-hmm.
as well into that side of the alliance.
And they're working
So,
on Corey
and
and Luke.
they're working on Corey and Luke.
Yeah.
They don't trust America because of per Jared, she has been working really closely with the other side.
Yeah, that's a lost cause. They work on her.
Yeah, I do think America is slowly moving away from that. From what we've gotten, she has been for the last few days trying to get Kirsten off the block.
Get
She is,
who? Kirsten?
yeah.
Okay.
She's been trying to get her off the block. She's been trying to see if they, even if she stays on the block, that they vote to keep her instead. And she is not being heard. It's not just her either. I believe Blue has tried. I believe Matt has tried, and I believe Cameron has tried.
Yeah.
Riley and Jag are just absolutely shutting it down.
Yeah, they're not trying to backdoor anybody, and they've made promises to Miss Felicia, so they don't want to do all that at this point. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't want to lose either. So it's just a sad, like, I don't like it either way. So
Yeah.
whatever they decide, they decide.
So it is really kind of sad. At this point. So we do see that it's literally a split down the middle house. We do get that it does seem like Riley and Jag side of the house do not realize how really ingrained that the other side of the house have made themselves. And so going into this veto, um, Hisam, which we know is in, has already been pulled in. They're looking for him to possibly play veto,
Mm-hmm.
and they are also insistent that they don't think anybody on the other side of the house um, can actually win a comp.
Yeah.
So that is where the I think the live feeds had gotten to before the veto comp. Um, uh, they basically had split down the middle of the house already, and they are constantly gaming. They're pulling people in, and I do feel like some people have an advantage at this point, and some people are at a disadvantage. Um, and it's been crazy to watch.
Yeah. It's been a long time since there's been two distinct sides of the house. What normally happens in Big Brother, at least in modern seasons, people try to blend in with the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not really with the majority and it's evident they're not with the majority, they still try to vote with the majority as
Right.
so to appear so they don't seem on the outs. Like it's a secret that they really are on the outs. Anyway, so it's going to be very interesting with two distinct sides, and people are aware of what those two distinct sides are. And that's not usually the case this early on. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to play out and what
Mm-hmm.
it's going to look like. I'm rooting for the bye bye side, I am rooting for Cerie's side. I'd like to see them win some comps. The only difference that Suri has to account for right now is in Survivor, having the numbers is enough. In
Yeah.
Big Brother, you need to have the numbers and you need to win to keep them. So if you can't win, all these numbers don't matter because they can still nominate two of you. So I'm interested. I'm already anxious for the head of household competition. I want to know who's gonna win because I'm nervous. But
Um, so Glenda says she is not sad yet because I don't think Kirsten's going to be completely out of the house. So we can discuss this.
I have no idea.
Um, we can discuss a little bit of rumors and a little bit of spoilers. Um, so if you don't want spoilers from the live feeds and you don't want rumors, you can check out now and come back later and see if they were true. Um, so at this point, Heesum has won the veto. And again, everybody, once he won veto, tried to do everything they could to have it used to either take down Miss Felicia or take down Kirsten, and they wanted to get Luke up. Till this morning. Then they wanted to get Izzy up because Izzy kind of clocked that it was possible that Riley threw the veto competition.
Mm-hmm.
And also Blue outed
The whole
that
thing.
there was an LGBTQ um like Heeson was trying to start an LGBTQ alliance. And
Yeah.
again, Blue is not about that life. She will protect them as much as she can, but
Not an official alliance.
not an official alliance.
I don't think anybody's really after her per se. I don't think
Um,
anybody's really
if
after
you are
her.
you talking about like in the show, or are you talking about like on Twitter? Um, because on the show nobody's going after her. They want, most of them want to keep her. Most of them are like us, they want to keep figure out a way to keep both of them, but they
Both of
can't.
them. Yeah. Nobody's after her. They just want to keep both of them, some seemingly.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely miss her. I said some people were want to keep her, some people want to keep Kirsten. So they they were trying to figure out a way. Basically, people were trying to figure out how was the way to keep both of them, and maybe backdooring a Luke.
Yeah.
And then this morning, a Izzy.
Yeah.
Um, After Izzy was like spiraling that they were gonna backdoor Cirie, though Cirie was like, "Sorry, Miss Felicia, they can't use that veto on you." And um, this morning, Riley and Jag were going through it, and they were just like, "No, there's absolutely no way that they can use the veto and try to trick Hisam to get Izzy up. They would ruin their games." So at this point, the veto was locked in and not used, and the nominations are set for Miss Felicia and um, Kirsten, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, as far as we know, one of them will be out. Now, rumors. We have been hearing different rumors, and it all comes up to math. Because there are 18 beds in this house, 17 house guests. There is a memory wall that has not been set, and there have been all such rumors that there would be an added 18th guest at some point, and then a split house like we saw last year. And so we have no clue if this is true or if there is a way for this to happen this Thursday or it's going to happen down the road. Um, yeah.
Yeah. We just have to wait and see. Expect the unexpected because it's all just speculation at this point. I hate Split House. I don't know. I'll like it depending on the results of it. I already know that's how I'm gonna feel. If it
Mm-hmm.
helps the people that I'm rooting for, I'm gonna love it. If it cripples them, I'm gonna hate it. I already know how I'm gonna feel. Ugh.
Yeah. So, uh, Bo, that was my theory. My theory was because of the scramble verse that instead of a house guest getting sent out and evicted, that they
Mhm.
would instead accidentally send in a 18th house guest. So
That could
that's
be.
possible.
Yeah.
Um, Anything's possible at this point. Like, to be fair, anything can happen right now. Nothing is set. They did take their bathing suit backyard pictures, which everybody says, oh, that means the 18th guest ain't coming in. Like, we don't know that these people can Photoshop anything into anything. So I don't think that means anything. I would love for this eviction to not be set, and I don't want to split house. I don't like it. I didn't like it last season. The execution was very very poor. So
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, I
uh,
didn't like it or I didn't like the results of it, but the execution was also poor.
right. Bo says I wouldn't mind seeing Luke go. Huh? Yeah, true. But Luke's apparently started gaming today, so we won't know. They also thought that Luke was a twin. That was funny. We can't find any evidence anywhere that he is a twin. He does have a brother, but they look nothing alike.
Yeah.
Uh, Glenda says I wouldn't mind Izzy or Luke backdoor. If Izzy comes back, she'll probably ride on Sari. That's the problem. I'm so torn. They're both so good. I have a soft spot for Felicia. Um, Can you explain what a split house is? I've watched BB. I haven't watched BB for a while, but I don't know what that is. So
Well, last season,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, 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 go ahead.
Last season, they had a competition where two people ended up being the winners, and those two people basically did a schoolyard pick for who they wanted on their side. So Michael was the winner last season, and then Terrence was the winner, and they both just picked house guests that they wanted. Michael was in the house, and then Terrence and who all the people he picked were outside of the house. They each were HOHs, they each nominated people, and they each evicted people, and the other side had no clue what was happening or who was being nominated or who was being evicted. It happened completely separate in the same game. So they didn't know who went home until both sides reunited after both of those house guests were evicted. Yeah, it was terrible. I
Yeah,
mean, it might be
it was
better
bad.
with more people, but I don't necessarily love it because it was so small. What was it, 5 people? Was it 5?
It was 10 people and they split into
Yeah,
five
5 people on
people.
each
It was
side.
so it's like a final five situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then it's like half of them were living outside, and then half of them were living inside. And then that cast was so terrible. They did such bad things to some cast members. Anyway, it was not fun to watch. It was not fun to experience. I did not like it.
Yeah.
Maybe with more people it'll be different. I don't know. I don't know.
They just needed like the room that they did the HOH comp in, they could have just transformed that into another house for them. They did not need to have them in the backyard. I don't think their accommodations were great. Like I didn't like the results of it. People might have liked it better if they liked what had gone on, but if it had sent people we would want to go home. You know what I mean? So there's also that factor, but I just think ultimately the execution of it was poor. That's
Very
all.
poor. Very, very poor. Okay, guys. I think that was pretty much it. I mean, Riley was crying about being HOH this morning, and I was dying laughing because I'm like, girl.
That annoys me. I mean, I'm trying to let's wrap this up here, but that annoys me because you're not the person that's unsafe. You're not at risk at going home. You're perfectly fine. You're sitting pretty. And when other people are up and emotional about it, I get it. But for the HOH to be crying and people consoling why are you crying?
Yeah.
Suck it up, but it's not about you in that moment. So I don't appreciate when any like I don't know, go in the bathroom, get yourself together, and let the people that are actually in danger have their moment. Is how I feel about it.
Mm.
So
Yeah. So she was crying last night because she realized her alliance was outed. Meanwhile, she outed it to Miss Felicia and Sari like the night before that. And
mhm.
then she was crying because she's the HOA. She was crying to Kirsten because she had to nominate Kirsten, and she was doing one of those things. Oh, the people will understand that you weren't that bad. You'll be fine. And then her and Riley have been using this self righteous. We are better than everybody. We won't stab people in the
Who?
back. Jag and Riley,
Okay.
and that they
Yeah,
won't stab
that
people in the back. So
sorry. Yeah, that's another thing I don't love is when people try to play Big Brother on some high moral ground, as
mhm.
if they're going to play in this clean game, that they're not going to lie, they're not going to back. You are setting yourself up for failure. So when you do lie and when you do backstab, inevitably they're going to look at you like you're a hypocrite. She's setting herself up to play a game that she cannot possibly play and be successful, in my opinion. You're not going to get through this game without lying to people, backstabbing people, going back on your word. It's not going to happen. And it also insinuates that people willing to do that in a game are somehow morally less than her. I don't agree with that either. I don't like that narrative. This is not a game about some moral high ground. You're going to lie. You're going to go back on your word. You're going to backstab. You can try to mitigate that as much as possible, but you're
Right,
going to do it. So I don't like, I've seen people lose the game because of that. So she needs to tread lightly because she cannot do that. There's no way she can uphold that. And then I would be the first one to call her out on it. I thought you weren't going to lie, Riley. I thought you weren't going to backstab Riley. But she's setting herself up for failure in this way. And let's see if it bites her in the butt like I think it's going to.
I think it's going to as well. Her and Jag.
Yeah.
I do not see how they can sustain what they have built and preach to people that they are
They're
the
going to look like
perfection.
hypocrites. I
Yeah,
would be calling it out
yeah,
because it would annoy me to hear the talk. I wouldn't say anything. I'd let them talk and have their perspective, but
yeah,
best believe as soon as they can't do it, I'm gonna make it known, you know? Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And then she was crying because she had to actually talk to people as HOH, and that the rest of their alliance didn't understand her having to have conversations with everybody. And I'm like, well, first of all, the person they didn't want to have the conversation with was Hisam. And I'm like, um, he won the veto. You have to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
It's
Joe.
just weird. Anyway, I feel as long as you are not targeting people for who they are, then everything else is game. Exactly.
Exactly. That's why I say keep it to game. No.
No, no.
I do not know. He asked, for those who may just listen, he asked, have either Tamika or I ever auditioned? No. That's a long time. In a perfect world, if I could set up my life to actually play Big Brother, I would. I don't know how I would do that. I don't know how I would leave for that long. But also, this fandom is on another level. They make me nervous. And I would probably keep, like, I don't know how well I could lie on a dime. I don't know if I could keep
Mhm.
my life straight. And you could tell me something and I'm gonna forget it like 5 minutes later. So I don't know. I feel like socially I'd be great. I can talk to anybody, I can get along with anybody, I can pretend to be interested in your cat that you have at home when I really could not care less. I can do all of those things fine. I just don't know. I don't know how I could like go without talking to my biggest confidant, which is my husband. I bounce everything off of him, and I can't be like, babe, what do I do? Because it'll be all on me, you know? So all of those things make me nervous. I have no idea how I would do. Yes, BB Twitter is wild, and I don't necessarily want to be a victim of that, but because they pick on everything, but I don't know. I don't know if I could. But if
Good
something
luck,
came to the
Bo, on
chance,
that,
would you?
on your audition for Canada this year. I hope
Yeah,
you
good
make
luck.
it. And yes, BB Twitter is wild. I love it.
Try to spread
um,
kindness always, guys. That's what I try to do.
I don't think I would do well in the house, and that's because I'm fairly antisocial and I'm over analytical.
You said antisocial?
Yeah.
Hmm. I feel like if it makes sense for me when I'm comfortable in the crowd and I know people, I'm perfectly fine. And maybe when I don't know people, I'm a little like it takes me a little bit longer to warm up. But
Hmm.
I'm shy and not shy. I'm like very social, but then shy. It's a weird combination. Those that know me understand.
Okay, guys, I think that's it. I don't think I can remember if anything else I did not mention that's been going on. That's pretty much where we are as of today. Our next episode will be tomorrow, right?
Yay! Yeah, that'll
And
be the veto.
which will be the veto episode. So you guys will see that play out in real time. And then the next episode will be the eviction episode on Thursday, which Janelle and I will both be in Detroit for Haz's House Chops.
I'm so
What
excited.
party! So we are so excited. We'll be in Detroit experiencing that, and then we will come back and tell you all about that and the veto episode and what else has been happening on these crazy live feeds.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes. I'm so excited for the party.
yeah, same. So if you have not, please follow me on all social media platforms. I still have to post my party pictures from this past week, and then we're gonna be taking more pictures. I'm gonna get them out, guys. Though, hopefully, when I'm traveling, I can start posting them. I'll do like a way back Wednesday or something. And if you follow me here, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know when we go live to discuss and chit chat about Big Brother. We're just here to have fun and have conversation. And I also cover Love Island, USA. I cover The Bachelorette, and that is what I'm covering currently on this channel. And I know Janelle might be popping in other channels
Sound
for.
podcast. We're doing Big Brother over there. We're also covering the challenge. I'm probably gonna be on there at some point. Live feed coverage over there at some point. So
Mhm.
I'm Janelle Michaud on everything. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. TikTok is basically my kids. You don't have to follow that one. Instagram, Twitter, it's Janelle Michaud everywhere.
Thank you, Bo. So that is it for us tonight. We will see you next time, guys. Have a good
Bye,
one.
guys.